got a lot of cool cards, got a lot of cool merchandise, still a lot of books. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator and co-owner of Zenescope Entertainment, Joe Brusha. So welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Glad it's get back on. It's been a little while.
Yeah, no.
Somebody's trying to get in the room. I'm like, what's going on? There's nobody here. It must be the dogs. they want to get their cameo.
It's that or it's a ghost.
Yeah, right.
One or the other.
I hope it's a ghost. I'd love to see a ghost. I did think I saw a ghost once, but I don't know. It was a weird thing. So
I don't think I've ever seen a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a ghost. I don't want to see a ghost either, because it could be a friendly ghost, and that'd be great.
It was weird. I was walking my dog, and I was coming to the front of my house, and there was this old lady, and she was carrying a bag of trash, and she walked around and went to my front porch, and there was a big bush in the way. So I came, the dog's trying to get in here. Maybe it's a ghost. And I came around and she was gone. And there was nowhere she could have went. And I was like, that. And I know my neighbors. There was no neighbors there. It was weird. So I went inside. I looked out the window, didn't see it. So my explanation was it was a ghost.
It
wasn't scary.
Ghost. I mean, knowing me, I'd be terrified. And that's why I don't want to meet one, because it'd just be bad. It would be bad. Because if it's a friendly ghost and it's giving you insight about life, that's fantastic. That's the best outcome. But what if it's a mean ghost or an evil ghost or a ghost that has a vengeance, or you wronged that thing and it's coming to hunt you? Yeah. I mean, but if you avoid it and then it doesn't bother you, I mean, you're good to go. So that's why I don't want to risk it. It's just a practical decision here. But
probably smart.
I mean, look, I have to assess the risk here about ghosts. But anyway, enough about that, because I do want to talk about everything that you got going on. Obviously, you're running, in many ways, the day-to-day operations at Zenescope. But for those who don't know what Zenescope is, what is the 2-minute pitch of what you guys do? Because you've been around for 20-plus years at this point. And I don't think, if you don't know Zenescope, and you're in comics, there might be a bigger issue. But for those who don't, 2-minute pitch.
Sure. Yeah, we're an independent comic publisher. We focus mainly on horror, fantasy, sci-fi. Do all original work. Everything that we do is created in-house. We've come to be known by our kind of sexy covers. It's a big part of what we do. Our stories themselves, like I said, are more fantasy, horror, sci-fi based, but we like to play around with the female characters that we have, put them on covers. Make them look sexy and sell those variants. So, been in business 20 years. Next year will be our 20-year anniversary. And I don't know if there's anybody, I'm sure Dynamite's been around, but I don't know if there's anybody out there right now who's done as much original work as us that's still in business. I'm trying to think, everybody else licenses. Boom, Dynamite, who am I missing? There's some new guys that have come around, but yeah, we may be the longest running.
Maybe Brian Polito might be the.
Well, Chaos definitely, yeah, he's been around, but he's been through. Yeah, he's definitely been around longer than us. I remember actually before we started, we went to a Comic-Con, and Polito was doing a How to Break Into Comics panel that we went to. So, but he's mostly focusing on Lady Death. We do a pretty larger, I'd say, library of characters. But we're up there though with probably one of the longer running independent publishers.
So obviously, I'm not going to go through the history of Zenescope. If you don't know, there's plenty of places. There's plenty of people who could do that, or you could just go on your website and figure it out from there, everybody. But I do want to talk about what's going on right now, because you guys have been wanting to do something, which is get into TV, film, direct to market. I'm not exactly sure streaming. I'm not exactly sure what it's called anymore, because it's kind of
right.
What were you saying?
I was saying, yeah, right. There's so many different avenues to put your stuff out right now.
But it's media. It's a good position. It's obviously filming, shooting something, and you guys are in the middle of a Kickstarter, which is Grim Tales of Terror, the TV series season 1. But the reason why I preface it the way I preface it is that it's not a television show in the same traditional way that you're going on, that you guys were part when you did Van Helsing, which is based off of what you guys did in your character Van Helsing. That was aired on traditional television. So what is the basic story of that for those who don't know about the Kickstarter? Because
sure.
it's kind of a cool project, and I'm a
Right.
backer. So full
Right.
disclosure, I'm a
Awesome.
backer. I'm
Thank you,
stoked
Andrew.
for it. I'm a gold backer, which is $200.
Oh, nice.
And
Thank you.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. So I want my nice gold foil cover. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah. So, like you said, Van Helsing was a property that we licensed to Sci-Fi Channel. They did it as a traditional TV series. They controlled all the rights once they bought it. Did it the way they wanted to do it. Just a little bit of quick history. So, when Ralph, who is the other co-owner of Zenescope, my partner, when we started this, our goal was to get into film and TV. That's what we were trying to do. We started around the time that, I guess, Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man came out. X-Men had just come out. But the big movies that were not really known as comics were like Road to Perdition, History of Violence. They were all comic books that had been turned into TV shows or movies. And we had wanted to break into the movie industry. And that's kind of the genesis of how the company got started. We figured we'd take our ideas that we've been working on and put them in as comics, and then try and get traction in Hollywood, which we did to a certain extent. Previous to that, we were doing short films, we were writing screenplays, and nobody would look at any of our work. So once we started a comic book company, it opened every door in Hollywood, in a good and a bad way. It was, it's, you take all these meetings and pitches, and if you look at our Kickstarter video, we've been doing that for 20 years and been very, very, very close to a lot of movies. We've probably optioned 40 properties, and only one of them, Van Helsing, has been realized as a TV series. So, not to keep on, making a long story short, but we want to produce movies, TV series based on our IP. We haven't had that success in Hollywood, so we figured, let's go out, let's shoot a movie or a TV series. And the original idea with Grim Tales of Terror was, let's do it as an anthology film. And instead of like, hey, let's go to Kickstarter, we have no content, and make it, our idea was, let's shoot the first part of it, since it's going to be an anthology. We'll shoot the first short, then we'll come back to Kickstarter and try and raise money to make more, or at least get that out to the public. So where it's going to run, at worst, it'll be a Blu-ray DVD, and it'll be available behind a paywall on, YouTube or something. But our hope is that
let's actually talk about this a little bit too.
Sure.
Is that there's a lot to unpack. So obviously, I'm a huge proponent of owning your content, right? Sure. Motley Crue. Have you seen The Dirt? Just curiosity, because
no.
Oh, it's great. It's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, Dirt, the Motley Crue story. There's a scene where Nikki Sixx is talking about how Motley Crue should own their music, and so I'm a big proponent of ownership. So I own my content, and people have tried to get me to join their networks and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be part of you. I want to be me and run me. And I want to run it my way. And I enjoy it because I have 15. I got probably about 1,000+ interviews. I own every single one of those pieces of content. And I think it's really important, because once you understand ownership, it's a different position. And so if you go to Hollywood, you don't own it. I'm sorry. Maybe depending on how you work it out, you might own it. But those days of owning television are long gone.
Sure.
Jerry Seinfeld owned Seinfeld, and he could license Seinfeld out. And the people who did that 70s show own that 70s show. But Warner Brothers or CBS, whoever, owns Big Bang. Chuck Lorre does not own Big Bang.
Yeah.
And so what is that like? Because that's also a big change too, because you own this project. Whatever you do with it is yours.
I think that's, again, going back to Van Helsing, and look, it's a good success in a way, but with Van Helsing, they did whatever they wanted with the property. They didn't stick true to the comic, and therefore, when it wasn't really, it didn't go back to our original content. So we got money out of the TV series, but it didn't translate into sales on the comic side, number one. And, I just liked our Van Helsing character better than what they did with it. It's good and bad, but you really have no control whatsoever once you sell your property to Hollywood. I was talking in the Kickstarter video, we just got a script in. We're working on a property with Screen Gems. And the script is decent, but it's a departure from the comic in a way that I don't know that I love. And I wrote the comic, so I'm kind of like, like, I want to do it this way. And look, I'm a stubborn idiot when it comes to some of this stuff. And I think that the way I do it is going to be better than what most people do. And I'm probably wrong. But at the same time, you know, I don't, do you have any kids?
I don't have kids yet.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to
So I have,
having kids at
right.
some.
I have 4 kids. So every one of these scripts and every one of these things that I do is it's one of my kids too. Right. Like, so it's something that I created. I don't want to just give it, hand it off to some, jackass who's going to abuse it, right? Like that's your kid. So it's tough. It's tough. You got to play the game in a little way, but maybe the way the world's changing, the way content is changing, the way media and the way media is delivered is changing. Maybe you don't anymore, right? Like there's so many outlets, and Kickstarter. I could rave about Kickstarter all day. I mean, I just love the platform. It's taking out the gatekeepers. You get to
I agree.
customers. Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
agree. So my issue with Kickstarter is that, because you mentioned gatekeepers, and I'll take the heat on this one, is that I don't think gatekeeping is bad necessarily. I don't. It sounds weird because I'm sure you've backed a bunch of kicks. Maybe you haven't. I don't know.
I have. Yeah, I love the back Kickstarters.
So there's been good ones I backed, and there's been horrible, and then there's been amazing experiences. And I've run the gambit. I think I've backed like 150. And so I would say it's a third, and third, where 50 of them are average or a little bit above average, 50 of them are bad, and 50 of them are unbelievable and are worth waiting 2, 3, 4 years for it.
Right.
And, I've waited like 2 years, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I waited 2 years for this book, right? It was great. But then there's books that I'm waiting 4 years, and this book was a piece of shit. And I just spent $50 on it. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, right. Me, it's not even worth the me throwing it and burning it and the heat it would give off. Okay, the box of match, the book on fire would be worth more than the book. But I'm not mentioning whose book it is for a reason. But the point I'm making is that that's why I don't think gatekeeping is bad. But I also like the fact that anybody can go on Kickstarter and throw an idea in the wind, and you don't anymore need somebody to be like, well, you can't do it that way. So I agree, but like, what is this like? Because doing a television series, though, that's not anymore playing like a $15,000 book. I mean, it's expensive to make a Blu-ray.
It is. And I don't know. I don't want to say we don't worry about the cost. I kind of feel like, we're just trying to turn out something cool, like, and get people on board. I'm so sick and tired of some of the entertainment that's coming out lately the last couple of years. And it's like, again, talking about gatekeepers, I feel like I do agree with what you're saying. I kind of get it, like, but at the same time, look at the shit. The gatekeepers are still producing shit too, right? Like, look at some of the movies, look at some of the TV series. It's awful. So, at least on Kickstarter, you have the opportunity to go, okay, I'm going to take the chance on this. It looks good. Nobody's telling me I can't buy it, and this creator put it out there. But I mean, I would say we've had really good success with our Kickstarters and turning out good stuff that people have liked. I don't think this will be any different. It is a bigger risk. It is a bigger dollar number. But there's somebody who told me, it's kind of funny, that's in the movie business now, and they kind of said movies are just comics with bigger, like you said, bigger dollar signs. So we just have to find a bigger audience, and we've done that through Kickstarter with this first project. We've hit our goals, so we funded it, paid for everything, and now we'll go from there.
Let me ask this, because do you also feel, because for those who don't know, I just went through a massive expansion and tabling down a debt cycle. So in the next 25 days, my whole business debt is going to be wiped out, which with a lot of merch, with a lot of cash flow. Now, I had to pump money in to get to that level. And then it just so happens that I got lucky. I kind of knew what I was doing too, and I was in the right place at the right time. And then I could start taking massive distributions out of a business, or continue to pump money in and grow it debt free. But in order to get to that level, you have to almost take on debt. You have to take on risk. And is it also, do you feel that, hey, the Kickstarter is just the phase one of this, because you're going to have leftover product that you could sell, that you can move. You also then have a piece of content that you could potentially bring to Hulu, bring to Netflix, bring wherever you want. You could put it behind a paywall on your website if you wanted to. So, there's all this other stuff because it is an IP once you have 2, 3, 4 episodes. So do you think that's also part of it? Because I think my issue with people in comics and producing things is that the Kickstarter is the be all end all. And I don't know if that's any more like, because that's what I hear from people on Kickstarter is that it seems like they're going for the Hail Mary pass at the end of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, you make a great point. And it's not. So our we have kind of a pie in the sky idea with this, which is let's get it at least funded, pay for what we've done already so that we're not at a debt. Because again, you said it, making movies is very expensive, making TV is very expensive. We don't want to have $500,000 in debt with no way to get out of it. So Kickstarter is phase one. Now, we may not get past phase one. It might be, hey, we raise 75 right now, whatever it is. Maybe we just get to 80, 85 grand, and we just do that first episode as a pilot, and we just fulfill Kickstarter, and that's the end of it. But my hope is that we fulfill it, we get it done, and now we're going to take it out to other investors. We're going to take it over to Hollywood, and we're going to go, hey, we made this first one, we were able to fund it. Can we do it as a series? Can we do it at, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, or do we go to private investors and go, hey, we're going to just put this out as a movie now at this point? So it's definitely phase one. It's not the end all be all. There's a bigger strategy behind it. But at the end of the day, if all we do is fulfill the Kickstarter and we make a little bit of money or we break even and people get that first piece of entertainment, it's part one. Then maybe we come back next year and do episode 2 on Kickstarter, at a little bit lower of a cost. So, we'll see. There's a lot of moving parts to it right now. We don't even have any real cast to it right now. We have the cast from the first one, but we haven't, for those of you who don't know, our Tales of Terror has kind of a crypt keeper, carries the goddess of death. We haven't even cast that part yet. She'll definitely be part of the pilot. She'll definitely be part of the wraparound story for this, or the intro story. So once we get that, maybe that adds more to it.
No, because I just think it's interesting because, again, what I see on Kickstarter and what I see is that people don't have an understanding that there's Kickstarter land here and there's the rest of the world here. It's Kickstarter's little small bubble, right? So like it's kind of like Kickstarter's not IRL, right? Like it's so, and that's my biggest pet peeve with Kickstarter is that I'm like, do you have a plan for a con? Like, do you have a plan to be in a local comic shop? Like, it just bothers me, and it's me vetting. Because I'm like, there's so much money just left on the table, and it kills my soul. But I digress. But even to go further into the Kickstarter, so obviously you have the movie side of this and the Blu-ray, but then you're also a comic book entertainment company. And I say you're a comic book company more so than anything else because that's kind of your main product. Definitely. And so what is that like too, figuring out? Because people come to Zenescope for collectible covers in a lot of ways. They also come for good stories and solid stories and stories that are above average and sometimes exceptionally really, really good stories too. But, I view Zenescope as I know what I'm getting and it's an above average story. And I'm being very, very modest when I say that for a reason, because no offense to everybody in comics, but a lot of shit is bad in comics. A lot. You go to DC, there's 52 comics that come out from DC, give or take, every month, and about 4 of them are good.
Yeah.
Above good and great, and the rest are average or bad. And so what is that like, figuring that balance out, though? Because it's hard to just sell me a Blu-ray.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and that's a big part of the Kickstarter is including the books, that the foundation of them. And I hope that, my thing with all of this has always been, I love comics. I love good comics, like you're saying. It's funny. I just saw Deadpool and Wolverine, Sunday night, and it takes me back to those great comics from the 80s and 90s and some of the stuff that I just was unbelievably awesome. So I always look at it as, kind of the movies are a gateway to comics in a way and a gateway to other entertainment too. It's all, I read novels, I watch TV, I read comics, and watch movies. So it's all very synergetic to me. And if you can, you can't watch, how many Deadpool and Wolverine movies they're going to make? They made one, right? But there's probably 20 comics adjacent to that you can go read. Are they good? I don't know. You know what I mean? You have to find out. But there's a lot of stuff, same thing with any of these movies. So if you have an appetite for this type of product and you love pop culture and you love these kind of movies, well, you're only going to see one or two a year, but you can read comics all year long. So I think it's definitely kind of it feeds into that other stuff. And that's how we've always looked at it. Like, let's make this Tales of Terror series, and hopefully that turns everybody onto the comics. They can go and read all the books we've done in it.
Because I mean, just on a reward level, I mean, I'm looking at this. I was gonna back it because I missed the animated series, and then I got my hands on one of those, and
Okay.
I didn't know there was a safe for work version of that. So and then let's just say my significant other, she was not happy watching the not safe for work, and then I found out later in the same DVD there's a safe for work, and I'm like, I didn't. I mean, I was glad I watched the not safe for work version, but that's not the point here. She was not happy with me for like a week. So that's your fault. It was hard to find. It was hard to find in the menu. But I missed that on Kickstarter. And then when I saw this, I'm like, I'm not going to miss the Blu-ray. But then I also looked at the whole thing with, I think there's a silver showcase, there's a gold showcase, and I'm presuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if only 100 of those sell, you're not printing 150 of them, right?
Nope.
I mean,
nope.
It's just printed to whatever it is, or if they all sell out, that's in play. And so that's the other thing too, that obviously preserving value also is a big thing, because it is complicated right now in comics, because I know plenty of people who print a lot of books and then they're not valuable.
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, there's a glut of kind of variant cover companies out there right now who are doing the same thing that we do. And we've done for years. But I think you're right. I think they're overprinting. If you're telling me it's limited edition, it's 3,000 copies, is it really limited edition? I mean, it's a big limited edition, and depending on what the medium is, that could be. But for comics, it's kind of a big number. So, yeah, I think the collecting and that limited edition goes hand in hand with what we're doing. If you get the diamond or the gold or the silver variant ticket for this, you're going to get a very limited number of or very limited collectible that goes with that hopefully down the road is more valuable than what you pay for it. That's what we always hope for with this stuff, that whether you want to sell it, whether you want to pass it down to your kids, whether you just want to hold on to it, it's a unique piece of memorabilia that hopefully is valuable in the future.
No, because it's tricky. Comics right now are really tricky. And also it's tricky in figuring out value versus purchase pricing, because that's the other thing too that is so complicated. And obviously I run an eBay business selling cards, and it is so hard when you have limited 10s or limited 5s or even limited 50s. What is the value of that card? I pulled a parallel of Jalen Brunson, which is a limited 49. And I don't know what the value is, but there's 3 or 4 of them on eBay, and people are asking like $250 for them. And so it's like, I don't know if it's a $250 card. Now, I'm keeping in mind for myself, but it's really important to understand that, well, there's only so many of these. And then there was only, based off of the parallel, and I don't know what the ratio is, but there was 2,700 of those cards of the base card printed, and parallels are based off of that ratio, essentially. Where I don't know, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but the point I'm making is that roughly there's 49 blue parallels out of about 2,800 cards, give or take.
Right.
So it's a low ratio number, but that's why it has value. But what is I mean, you guys seem to know what you're doing on figuring out purchase price and value and all that stuff, but it's so complicated because there's so many Kickstarters now, and it's so hard to get a customer, because right now I can go on Kickstarter and I can find legitimately 20 awesome products and awesome comic covers. And I don't back everybody's book. I rarely back people's books anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a weird place right now with Kickstarter, because like you're saying, there's so much competition. But I've seen this before. We've seen this every couple of years. I feel like it wasn't through Kickstarter, but at the cons, every couple of years there's people who are cashing in on this variant business, cashing on the collectability business. And from what I've seen, their books really aren't sustainable. I mean, I think it's going to depend on what blows up and what doesn't, right? And as a buyer, you're taking a look and going, does this have sustainability? If I buy, company X is limited to 100 variant, and they're going to do one book and not be around anymore because it's one guy doing it. And he doesn't have the sustainability. That book's never going to be worth anything, unless somebody finds it, makes a movie out of it someday. But it's definitely tricky. I don't know. Do we price stuff too high sometimes? Maybe. Do we price it too low sometimes? Maybe. Over the years, what I've seen is people can flip our stuff and make money off it. A year or two out, 6 months out, depending on what the book is. And as long as it's going up in value and we have a limited edition, I think we'll be okay. So, but it's definitely, I can't say there's an exact science to it. It's definitely.
No. I mean, right now I'm having a hard time moving comics. I'm having a genuine hard time moving comics on eBay. And I mean, I have some stuff that's great, but I also and I'll throw this right out to you guys. So those custom silver showcases,
Yeah,
I know in a few years, those books are worth money. They're just not in today, but I don't really care because a Paul Green custom silver showcase, it's going to be $150 book, at some point, or if somebody offers me $125 tomorrow, I'm going to take it and run because it was a $50 book when I bought it. So I know that it's a valuable book because I know that there's not a lot of those printed. There can't be more than 50 of those out there. Because they were all
less. Yeah. I'm thinking, there's not many.
I should have bought, I think it was War Turtle or Squirtle. I should have bought the Squirtle. I bought the Senku Manaki Pikachus because it's Pikachu. I figured Pikachu was going to beat Squirtle.
Right.
He's an electric type, so it makes sense. No, I couldn't help it. It's a Pokemon joke. I couldn't help it, but I figured Pikachu is a little bit more desirable than Squirtle. Nothing against Squirtle, but nobody knows Pikachu. But again, that book's going to be $150 to $200 because there can't be more than 50. There's probably, as you said, less, but they're not moving because the people who want to buy them and are making me offers want to buy them for $30 off of me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes, and again, I feel like right now, today, it's just a weird time and it's been a weird year. There's
I have a theory on that too, but inflation, August is slow in general.
Yeah.
And August is slow. People right now are terrified in the world because we are in a political election year. The Middle East is heating up for war. Ukraine is heating up again. There's trouble in the UK. And all of a sudden, people are saying, I'm just sitting tight. And the stock market is decided to say, hey, it's roller coaster Six Flag time.
Yeah.
So, what everybody is saying, is maybe that $100 book I wanted to buy, I don't have the money right now, or I do, but maybe it'll be here in a few months.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%. I think it's all those things. So, and then you add in some, like I said, some competition with some people who are rolling out with undercutting. Their pricing is much lower than some of the top comics out there, and it's just a bad environment. So, like I said, I've seen it before. It's very cyclical. Is that the right word? Cyclical, yes. And we've been through it 3-4 times, and I have confidence that it'll turn around.
I put on my Facebook status. I said, when the stock market goes down, you buy as much as you possibly can. Like, and I was expecting some backlash, but apparently I didn't get any backlash because it's true. I mean, if the stock market keeps going down, I might throw in 20,000 into the stock market. And the last time the stock market went down, we recovered in 56 days. So do I care?
Yeah, as long as the world does, then you'll be good.
I can wait a year for my 20K to turn into 200,000. I have no problem with that.
Right.
None at all. Right. I'll put it all into like NVIDIA or Microsoft. It'd be great. But not the point. But like, I'm always curious because it's so tricky right now, and I've seen it too with campaigns and just business in general, and even doing projects. And I have a theory why projects are late too, is because people either don't know how to price their product correctly, or secondly, they basically put their hand in the cookie jar because they need that money, and then their project gets delayed by 6 months or a year because they have to go figure out how to refill the cookie jar to produce their product. And I mean, you guys, you're late by 2 months sometimes with a trading card set, which is nothing in Kickstarter land in reality.
Right. Yeah. I think that you know, what's interesting is, like, for Kickstarter, so we used to have to get, you know, go through the whole approval process and make sure that, you know, it would take a couple weeks. All of our projects get approved immediately right now, which is great because, you know, like you said, 2 months late. We don't want to be 2 months late, but we fulfilled every single Kickstarter we've done, and you know, that's, you got to build that. You have to build that reliability and confidence and make sure that you get the product out there and in the hands of your people who have backed you. Otherwise, you're done. You know, you're sunk. Nobody's going to back you again. So, um,
We've seen it. We've seen it with a bunch of people. We don't have to mention names, but I can
sure.
mention 5 or 6
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. You just can't do it. You have to make sure, you know, if somebody takes a leap of faith and goes, "Hey, I'm going to invest in your Kickstarter," and, you know, what proof do they have we're going to deliver? You know what I mean? So when they take that leap of faith, if you don't fulfill it, I mean, I just think that's the end of you. You know, you're gonna be done. I mean, you can come back in a different iteration, but we make sure, one of the good things is we just make sure whatever money we earmark and we get the Kickstarter money, we set that aside and we go, this is going right towards private production. We're gonna make it, and that's how we do it. And make sure that we fulfill the Kickstarter. So yeah, definitely got to keep doing that and make sure that you're fulfilling all of those obligations.
Again, I've been burned, and that's why I pulled back out of Kickstarter, because I've become slightly disenfranchised. Waiting for projects, seeing people not know how to deliver a book, not get it into my hands. I've seen people run 12 campaigns a year, and you know, I'm like, where the fuck's my book, man? I've
Right,
seen
right.
people run a lot. I've seen people just continuously run, and they fail on a Kickstarter, and they just move right on to the next one. And I'm like, there gets a point where I'm all for having as much content as humanly possible, because I prescribe to something called critical mass theory, where the more content you have, the more likely you're to go viral, and you're going to get to a point where you're going to be everywhere. And I'm a strong believer of that. But at the same time, I'm also a strong believer that if I just gave you $50, you got to get me my product within reasonable time period.
Right, right. No, definitely.
I think 6 months is reasonable. I think 6 months is really reasonable.
Yeah. Well,
I think
especially for our
3
comic.
months.
Yeah, we try, you know, like, again, you're going to put your delivery date on there. You just got to try and be right around that delivery date. Yeah, and we don't try and run too many Kickstarters at the same time. Like, we want to fulfill them and then we'll go to the next one. You know, maybe we have 2 up. You know, right now we're only running the one. We're doing a backer kit thing as well, but that was kind of they wanted to jump into the comic book world and do a comic book thing, and they you know, awarded us one of the spots. So that went well. I mean, you know, we raised, I think, like 26 grand for a graphic novel. So, you know, hopefully we're hitting a new audience.
So let's talk about that too. What is that even like? Because obviously at this point there's Zoop, there's Crowdfunder, there's Fund My Comic or Fund My Indie by my friend Luke Stone. There's obviously Kickstarter. And then I've noticed a bunch of people just basically build ClickFunnels and crowdfund on ClickFunnels essentially. Which is, or you could do Kajabi or whatever else you want to do, which is just a funnel, because that's all Kickstarter is it's a clean funnel that because you have an entry point and then you have 20 exits. It's fantastic. But what is that like, even figuring out when to run a campaign, when not to, because you don't want to kill your backer, right? There's a saying where you could milk your cow and get milk every day, or you could kill your cow and you bought the cow for 100, you kill the cow, you pull out $200, but you don't have your cow anymore.
Yeah. It's definitely delicate. We've got some pushback from customers that we're doing a lot of Kickstarters.
Is this going to be events? Because you're more than welcome to vent. I won't censor you.
No, I mean,
I won't censor you at all.
I don't know if it's a vent. I mean, I think that the issue that I have is, so the traditional distribution outlets just suck.
Don't say. You don't say.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, we make more money on doing a graphic novel through Kickstarter than we do putting it through Diamond and through distribution and through the retail outlets. Well, sorry. I had one person complain that we're just doing it to make money. Of course we're doing it to make money. That's what a business is supposed to do. What do you think? Like, but we do it to make money, to pay our employees, to keep putting out good content. And my vent was going to be, when I write up my Angry Man blog, or when I do it, is look, there's a lot of businesses out there where the owners are running around in Rolls Royces, living in mansions. The comic book business ain't that. You know what I mean? We do it. Yes, it's a business to make money, but if I can make more money doing a graphic novel through Kickstarter than I can through traditional outlets, what am I supposed to do, right? Like that's the whole point of it. And I love comic stores. Another part of my vent is I used to go into comic stores quite often. I would go all the time. I don't anymore just because I've kind of soured on some of the stuff that's happening in the industry, and it sucks. So yeah,
So I'll tell you how I feel, right? I got burned out from backing people's campaigns, and I basically said, I have a choice. I could back everybody's campaign or I could run my business. And so obviously, I pick and choose my campaigns, and I pulled back and I took that money that I was putting into people's campaigns, and I started pumping money into my business, and I started pumping time also into my business because I wasn't browsing campaigns and Kickstarters.
right.
And it sounds weird when you say it, but you got to vet. I mean, it actually, if you want to figure out what projects you want to back, if you're backing 20 projects, you can't just be like, I want this. You got to actually look at the campaign, and it could take 10, 15 minutes. When somebody has 30 covers, you actually have to sit, you have to plug in your credit card. And if you actually calculate how much time that takes to back a Kickstarter, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes on average. And if you're backing 20 of those a week, it's a lot of fucking time. It really adds up. I'm not saying I'm like 15 minutes. Oh, done with this one. Number 2, here we come. It's not that, but it's the idea that, and then all of a sudden, like you just spent $900 in Kickstarter every week. It's like, so that's my position, is that I think there's too much. I genuinely think there is way too much. And I think it's also the idea that I don't know what's good and bad anymore on Kickstarter. And this is because again, I don't want to sound like maybe like you, but and I don't want to gatekeep, but I do think that there needs to be some vetting, and it's hard for me now to vet independently. It used to be a lot easier to say this is a good project, this is a bad project. Like I have a feeling, and I'm hoping I'm right, but I know your company well enough at this point that I'm going to take a leap of faith and assume it's a good product. Right?
Yeah.
But
And hopefully that's what you have to do. You have to build up kind of that trust and relationship with your customer. But again, the big thing is there's only so much money to go around. If you have $500 for your Kickstarters for the year or whatever it is, you got to pick and choose, and you got to go with the best ones. And hopefully, we're building that. And look, the big thing I say to our customers is don't back every one. Back the ones that you want to back, that you like of ours. And if you don't want to back it, we get it. We're happy to have you as a customer if you want to go to the website and buy stuff after it comes out. But this is a necessary business model for us, because for 20 years we've been publishing comics and graphic novels, and we lose money right out of the gate on those. And it takes some time. Whereas if we do 2 or 3 graphic novels a year now through Kickstarter and pay for them, I think that's good for everybody.
No. I get it. I guess because again, like that Cinderella thing, it's just an economic choice. It's nothing against Cinderella. Would I love an omnibus book from Cinderella? Sure. Would I like to put it on my bookshelf? Absolutely. At some point, if it comes out on your website and I'm in a better cash flow position, awesome. Or I got reward points, wherever it is. But at the end of the day, I got to make an economic decision. I also have to say, cool, cool, you did a Robin Hood graphic novel on Kickstarter a little while ago. And it was the same deal where I'm like, there's only so much money I got. And that's just how I feel. And I'm perfectly understanding. And I get that people say, I want everything, but you don't get everything you want in life.
Sure. No, and I think that's a perfect, smart way to do it. And like you said, it's going to be available on our website eventually for people who go to conventions. And we were talking about that earlier, and you're out on the conventions, which is probably smart for now because I'm sick from one.
I can tell you why. Every con that I go to, and this is going to sound messed up. So anime cons and comic cons, 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 6 years ago, anime con, you have $100 in your wallet, you're covered. Now, autographs are massively expensive. It's $60 for a voice actor's autograph on a 9x11, right? Print of theirs.
That's probably cheap too. I mean, compared to the other ones.
Oh yeah. I mean, a voice actor. So like, I have a bunch of voice actor friends and stuff, and we talk about this, and there's nothing but like you're signing a Pop Funko 60 bucks, but meanwhile you paid like $40 to get in for a ticket.
Yeah.
So now you're bringing your own Pop Funko, you're bringing your own cards, you're bringing whatever you want, and it's still expensive. That's not graded, and it's kind of like after a while, I'm looking at prices and I'm like, this is so fucking expensive that
Yeah.
you. So years ago at an Anime Con, it used to be that $100 covered you. Now you need like $500 minimum, and at a Comic Con you need 1,000. And I don't. Technically, I make decent between my job and my eBay business, but by no means am I driving around in a Rolls Royce, as you stated. And like, what am I going to do? Take like 2% of my income to go to a con and drop 1,500 to have a good time? It's a problem. And so that's why I left, because it's just economically, it's a clusterfuck for me.
Yeah, it's gotten bad. I mean, and you're talking about $40. I mean, you look at like Comic Con, it's $350 to get in, probably, maybe more. Which we just got back from New York.
At Awesome Con, what you guys have done, it's like a $60 ticket. Or
That's
like
not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad.
But what I used to do is I used to present, and I used to do 2 or 3 panels. I got a free ticket, so that helped, because I like speaking, right? I like speaking, and it's fun when you get to talk about things in comics that you have knowledge about. It's cool to talk about, oh, how do you invest in comics? How do you start, with the 101 of comic book investing, right? That's a fun thing. Or I'm talking about something in anime. That's fun, right? But again, if you don't even have that, and that saves me like $80, it gets really expensive quickly. And so that's my whole thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that I don't know what the answer is. I think
I don't want to pay to go shopping at the mall.
Right.
Is how I put it.
Right. Yeah. It's not a bad. I mean, like I said, I think that I'm going to be interested. I haven't been happy with New York the last couple of years. I don't know if we talked before between now and then, but I'll vent a little bit again about that. Is the other thing is you're paying to go to the mall, and you walk in, and the first thing you see is you want to see comic books and cards and anime, and the first thing you see is Foot Locker. Like, Foot Locker took over our booth at New York Comic Con. They moved us to the back and put Foot Locker up front, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is ridiculous. And they've got Geico on the floor and DoorDash, and people. I would think if I'm a customer,
well, New York is at least smart, because they have Progressive, the My Little Ponies, who hold your place in line so you can go to the bathroom. That is an improvement.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that, but
that's free, by the way. They're just walking around, and they got like 50 of them, and it's awesome. Like, oh, do you need to the bathroom? You just grab a pony. It's great. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's so smart, because Progressive is ingenious about that, and it makes you want to buy insurance from them.
Fine. Yeah, Progressive. Jesus Christ, don't get me started. But I guess yeah, that's what you're paying. I don't know. It drives me crazy, that part of it, at least. But I'm glad they got their ponies running around. Maybe with the fucking Geico Lizard will show up this year, and he'll I don't know what he'll do for you, something.
But that's how I feel about Comic Cons, and I'm just like, I'm so exhausted from Stevie Richards, the wrestler, said it best. In life, you have to decide how much you want to be screwed. How comfortable are you with getting screwed, right? And I'm just at a point where I'm like, if I'm not presenting, and that I don't get a free ticket, and that it's not in my neighborhood. So I lived in DC, right? So Awesome Con was a home con for me, where it cost me $12 to take the Metro. It didn't even cost me $12. It cost me like $4 to get to Awesome Con on the Metro. I had to stay in my apartment, and I was presenting. So that's legitly like $500 that it didn't cost me to go to Awesome Con.
Yeah, because parking would have set you back $50.
What'd you say?
Parking would have set you back 50.
I mean, you probably would have parked. So I would have just parked in the hotel. That would have been like $100.
Yeah.
But the hotel was like 2 blocks away from the convention center. So you but again, it's such. But like, if I was to go to New York, actually, that's true. I'll go for the day. So but it would cost me like $50-$60 for parking.
Oh
in
yeah.
New York Comic Con, easy. So like this is my issue, and that's why I don't do cons anymore, because I could take that money and do something else. Like Fanatic Fest or Fanatic Fest is happening in like 2 weeks, and I looked at the tickets and it's $50 to get in, and you look at the autograph list and how expensive that shit is. Oh my fucking god! I'm like, it's brutal. It is brutal. How
I
expensive.
can't blame you. Yeah, I can't blame you.
I wanted to go. I wanted to go, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm gonna get, just to put it nicely, I'm gonna get raked over coals on just being destroyed on an economic level. Like it is brutal. Like Pete Alonso, I'm a New York Mets fan. Don't ask. But his autograph on a card that's not his rookie card is $200. On a rookie card, it's like 300.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna go and get a Nick Foles card signed. Same thing, 250. 250. I have a Nick Foles rookie card, 250, and I'm like, I'd be buying it for myself. So I almost did it, and then I was just like, that's a lot of money. So, and if you want to get 3 or 4, like now, like you said, you're talking $1,000.
And then you got to get it graded. I mean, it's such just, and I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying that I don't want to spend the money. And this is how I feel about cons, is that I walk in and it's just, it's drained, and I'm methodical. So I showed this. I got this one I signed at Awesome Con. So that I had $1,000, and my $1,000 was all cash, and it was all handled, and I didn't overspend. But I know plenty of people who go to a con and then they're in line at the ATM machine.
Yep.
And I see it, and I know it, and then it's just I could go on for hours, and I haven't been back to a con in 5 years, and I'm so much happier.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a shame that they're pricing people out, but it is what it is. We don't do as many as we used to. I'm hoping next year we do a couple more, but it's just, on our side, the economics are crazy too, because, to do one of these shows, it's, I can't, if I told you how much we spent on San Diego, your head would probably explode. I mean,
I could take a guess.
It's a lot. So
I could take a guess, and I'm sure it's anywhere from 3 to 5. 30 to 5. 30 to 50, easy.
Yeah, you're definitely on the low end. But it's not, it's in that
because I've gone through this on an economic realm with people, where you go to a con, it's your table, your hotel, your food, okay, driving, flying, right? So far. Now, I don't know exactly how you deal with your employees precisely, if their salary or their wage, but that's neither here nor there. So
shipping, you got to ship everything in. You got to pay the handlers.
I'm getting there. Shipping. If it's union, you got to deal with the union.
Yes.
Okay. If it's non-union, thank the fuck God. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Like, isn't New York union? New York Comic Con Center?
Yes.
It's union, right?
Yeah.
So you got to deal with that. And then on top of that, what people forget is that you still got to buy and handle your product.
Yep.
Right. So you still got to deal with that. And then I don't know what else I'm missing. I mean, hotels. If I didn't mention hotels.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot.
And then sometimes your employees are difficult. No, I'm joking. That was too easy.
We've been pretty lucky. We did have one person one time literally show up at the show. It was a Detroit show, and Detroit has a lot of celebrities. They met a celebrity in the bar, got so drunk that they couldn't even stand, and had to go to the hospital, and that was the end of their career at Zenescope. So some people have fly off the handle. They can't handle the some people can't handle the con scene. But for the most part, we've been lucky with our employees at cons.
I've been drunk where I couldn't stand at certain events, but it was definitely not at a con. It was at my friend's wedding, and it was because his brother got me completely messed up, and then it was his brother's responsibility to get me to the after party, and he did, thank God. But it was a great night. I had a great time. But not the point. I don't drink at cons.
Smart.
because there's a million reasons why.
Cool.
And I just know way too many horror stories. But again, I have an idea how expensive San Diego is, and they don't want me at these cons. I tried, like, I wanted to present at New York Comic Con, and like every time I try to do it, they just don't want me. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to sit at your table anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm kind of done, and I'm disenfranchised.
I hear you. I can't blame you.
So that's how I feel. But I digress about all that, because it is what it is. But I don't know what else I could break down here. But obviously you got the Kickstarter going on. But I want to even dive further outward. Obviously you got a bunch of other stuff going on with Zenescope too that I want to touch upon. So obviously you're doing monthly comics. You're doing a lot of one shots, I think. Still, you obviously are doing a lot of trading card stuff. So that's always fun.
I love the trading cards.
Because that's my wheelhouse.
Yep.
I made some money on that. I have a complete Back in Wonderland set.
Nice.
The 12 of Christmas.
Oh, nice. Yeah, a couple people. So you have the one that has the board, the picture on the back, right? It's got the whole
the Last Supper.
Yeah, on the back. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we had some people buy them at San Diego Comic Con, and they were looking, and they got a couple of those backs. I'm like, now you got to go fulfill the whole set.
Well, people could buy them for me. I got a bunch of extras.
Good.
No, I'm reasonably priced. I'm reasonably priced on those.
Good.
I'm selling them for like $9 to $10 a pop.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, the cards. I'm sure we'll do another set next year of something. Oh, we're gonna do the catch 'em ones, the Pokemon cosplay ones. We'll do those eventually, but they've been great. It's good to branch out in other things. The one thing we're hoping, it's not going to come out this year, unfortunately, but next year we'll do an RPG. So that'll be cool. That's just, we've been trying to do that for like 2 years, and it's just slow going. But we'll do one of those next year. What else are we branching into? I mean, hopefully this Kickstarter gets us going to where my hope is that next year we can make an actual movie. And we've got a couple, options in terms of low budget movies we want to make. Again, tied back to the comics.
I mean, you also did the new trading card stuff.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many images, 20 years. Jesus, I don't know how many even. I got to figure it out, because at one point, our publisher, Dave Franchini, was like, we have to do a special cover when we hit cover number 5,000. And I'm like, probably already hit that, man. I don't know. So we got to figure out. We got to go back through the archives and find out how many images we've done. But I think there'll be some big changes year 20, our 20th anniversary. Not big, but just to the content that we're doing. We're thinking about this.
Because, I mean, you already made some big changes. I mean, you shift around the Zen box a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And some content, some content. I don't know that we're going to be as deep in the fairy tale stuff as we have been next year. I feel like, I don't know, has the fairy tale stuff run its course? We're always going to do some of it, but I feel like our Man Goat and Bunny Man universe. I don't know if you've read that book, but I
read the first one. I didn't read the second one.
It's doing really well, and it seems to have hit kind of like that. Hit a nerve with readers. They like the content. It's not, it's not fairy tale stuff. So
let me ask this, because I don't know. Have you heard of the show Ruby?
No.
By Monty Ohm?
No.
So Ruby was done by Rooster Teeth, and Rooster Teeth is a whole freaking rabbit hole. But what they did is that the show came out, and it aged with its viewers until season 9, and then the thing just became, for lack of a better word, an abortion. Where season 9 was a train wreck gone bad into a hole, and then it exploded with everybody still alive, burning to death. It was horrific, season 9. But the show in season 3 went from being this peaceful, lovely little, we're all having a good time in school, to this is a complicated issue. And it shifted because they realized that their average viewer coming into the show was like 12 or 13, and now they're 16. So do you feel that there's also an issue with your, I guess, average reader and your average backer, where maybe they've now grown up a little bit and the world's also grown up? Because it's very complicated when and we'll use DC Comics. If you keep Batman the same for 15 years, you got to realize that everybody around you, the guy who was 20 buying your comics, now has a 9-year-old son when he's 35.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
He's
yeah. I
no
mean,
longer the same. I'm speaking to Terry Kavanaugh, who you know.
yeah,
And we were speaking about Spider-Man and how they made Spider-Man have a family and a bunch of kids because they all had families and kids.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what happens when you're writing Spider-Man and working on it for 15 years and you're 25 and then you're 40 tomorrow. You have kids and you're married and you want to get Peter Parker to do that too.
Yeah, it's amazing you think about it. I read an article on it. It was a long time ago, and I don't know who wrote it, but it was talking about how do you keep a superhero static for 40 years. How do you do that? They're the same age, it's the same thing. And I think that could be a little bit of it. But yeah, and how far do you go? What do you do with the fairy tale stuff? How do you evolve it? What's next? I don't know about so much about the readers because I think we get enough new ones, but I think it's just an appetite for something a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's the Mango and Bunnyman stuff is definitely a little different. It's a little bit more fun. Maybe we've gotten too serious on where do you go? Right, it's the same thing. You're keeping character static for 20 years, and you got to keep it fresh. But they don't
It's
change
interesting.
Yeah,
I agree because again, I'll just state this publicly is that I was interviewing a lot of people in comics. Then I started bringing in cosplayers, wrestlers, and then all of a sudden you bring somebody in the adult entertainment world, right? It throws a monkey wrench into what you're doing. And all of a sudden, you do an interview like that and it does 1,600 views. You get a bunch of new people looking at you and you get like 50 new subscribers. About 25 of them stay. And now you shifted up the goal a little bit and you throw some of that micro content in there too every 18 days or so. And it really shifts up the content and it really introduced a breath of fresh air and that changed, and that pretty much brought me 200 subscribers on YouTube
that's
this year. So,
interesting.
so what it is that, and I mean, I enjoyed it, and those interviews are professional. There's nothing. There's a lot of smart stuff in there. There's a lot of economic stuff in there. I mean, the amount of money that some of these women are generating is insane.
I'm sure.
In which that one of these women that I interviewed, I'm not going to say who because I want people to figure out who it is. I mean, the interview's live. She's generating on StreamMate, which is a cam site, over $1 million for StreamMate a year. She's not
Great.
making a mill, but she's generating that much.
Oh, sure.
So,
Yeah.
so when we talk about that, all of a sudden my audience is like, "What just happened?" I mean, it helps that she's fun to look at, but
Sure.
it also is the idea that people are like, "Okay, this is something completely out of the box."
Yeah.
What
I
is
think
going to come out of the box for you?
Yeah. And going back to our stuff, I think that, 15, 20 years ago, it was, the stuff that we were doing was, I wouldn't say was as original, but it definitely hit a certain, a lot of women weren't reading comics. A lot of people didn't see this kind of content. So it struck a nerve. Now, 20 years later, it's not having the same effect possible, of course. So, yeah, so I think we're just going to kind of, again, change a couple things, try and reach new audiences, try to do different stuff.
Did you also feel that there's an anime wave coming and that the anime wave has come? Because I don't know if you've been in a Barnes and Noble lately.
Yeah.
I used to go every single week, and now I go every 3 weeks to a Barnes and Noble. And over the last, I'm 31, over the last 23 years, I have watched the Barnes and Noble manga section eat up the comic section row by row.
Yeah.
I wish I did this. I wish I took a photo every single week because that would be the video that I think would prove my point. And I'd play it at the start of the show because I think people be like, oh my God, I understand how this thing has eaten it up. Because that's what I also think is in effect too, to some degree, is that we're in an anime wave.
Yeah, and I think younger, looking at the people that I know, they're younger, definitely getting more into anime, manga. things that I've heard. I haven't read any manga in a while, or looked at some of this anime stuff. I've watched some of the cartoons, but not not as much. But I think that, is the content better? From what I've heard, it is. So, or at least maybe the top
Two
stuff.
things. You mentioned the first thing. It's also the idea that it's finalization. So manga has done three things really well. The stories are more motion, right? There's more action and there's more motion involved. The second thing is that when you collect a manga book, all the manga books look the same. So you put it on your shelf, it is 200 pages, and all the books line up neatly. So it's actually easier to deal with that, right? So it's actually easier to put it in your bookshelf because you only need a certain height, right? When you
Right.
go buy a comic book, there's this size, this size, this, and it looks weird on your bookshelf.
Sure.
So that's the other thing, and it also is neat. So Naruto is all white and then it's all black.
Yeah.
So it looks nice on a bookshelf. That's the other thing too. And then when they kill off a character, minus Dragon Ball Z, the character is dead.
Yeah.
And that's an issue right now in comics, is that every 10 issues they kill off Superman and then he comes back. It's
Right.
like, cool,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Superman, great.
Right. Yeah.
Next week, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Loses. Yeah. Interesting.
That's what I think. But maybe I'm wrong here, and it's all right.
Well, you're definitely right about the wave. There's no doubt about that in Barnes and Noble. I go to Barnes and Noble quite often, and I saw it too. So you're not wrong about that. That's for sure.
You go for the Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starbucks. Yeah.
Great company.
Liquid gold. That's what you're drinking. I mean, I always get one, but I don't know.
That's what I used to do. That's what I used to do every Saturday. It's like I would go with my parents. I'm like 13, and I would pick up a manga book or a magazine or a comic, graphic novel. I eat my coffee, and then I go buy the book, and I'm happy.
Yep.
It's how I built a huge manga collection that my parents are not thrilled with. That's in their basement. So that's the problem. Like, why do we have so many books? This is like 25 years of collecting. I mean, it doesn't just happen. I mean, it's terrible. It's just terrible. But I'm not interested in selling any of my manga books because they're mine. Oh my God, my kids are gonna be like, what was my dad reading when he was like 10? How the heck was he reading this? Like, how did his parents allow him to buy this? Like, what the fuck? This is terrible. No 10-year-old should have been reading this.
Yeah, there's some definitely crazy shit in there. The ones that I've read.
Oh my God, just Berserk. I'm 11 years old and I'm reading Berserk. Oh my God, what a messed up kid I was. I mean, and my parents were none the wiser. It was great, but for somebody who technically sort of was technically diagnosed with a reading disability, which turned out to not be true. I have a writing disability. Manga actually taught me how to read. So did Pokemon, but that's not the point here. There's other things that taught me how to do other things, but not the point. I turned out okay.
Yeah, right.
I don't want anybody to call up like child services on me and like, I'm 31. It's all right, everybody.
Yeah.
I want to make that crystal clear, but I don't disagree. I mean, you probably know it better than I do, but I do want to back out all this, and I am curious where you think comics are going, because obviously a lot of shit has happened in comics lately. Kickstarter is being difficult with certain people about nudity. Stripe is being difficult. Shopify is being difficult. eBay's been difficult with me. The reason why I don't like nude books or even topless books is that eBay puts me in a 7-day timeout, which costs me anywhere from $1,200 to $2,400 in a week.
Right.
A lot of money for my business. So I like your topless books. I just don't want to sell them because they will beat the shit out of me for it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks because it is what it is. It's not your book isn't the problem. eBay is the problem. And then Boom just sold themselves.
Yes,
and Scout, for those who don't know, Scout sold the stake to a holding company.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I
And
knew that.
Distillery just raised another 5.2 mil.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where comics are going. It's a great question. I often think about this. I think the big two, I've said this, I probably said this last time I was on the show. I think that there's a big problem with the big two. Like you said, DC puts out 52 comics a month. Only 4 of them are good. I
No, no,
think
no. I was being facetious. There's about 8
I
that are.
know, I know, I know, I know. But it's why
Marvel
so
has about 10 right now.
yeah, but we know that Marvel and DC aren't making money off their comics or don't need to make the money off their comics, but they're still got a stranglehold on the business. And I think it hurts independent comic stores. You know, I don't know where the state of that business is.
I'm going to ask you a question because I'm
Yeah,
curious about this. Do you think DC makes money off of their comic books, or they don't need to? Because I don't think they're making money. I don't think they're losing
no,
money.
no, they're
I
definitely
think
not making money.
I think they're making money though on comics in a different way. I think it's those 3,000 variants that a place like Comic Man or KRS is doing, or all these stores are doing, all these conglomerates are all getting involved in and sharing. That's where I think DC is making their money.
I
I
don't
think
know how many of those are out there. I know that's not
there's a
probably
bunch. There's a bunch.
sustainable. Yeah, I would think that's not sustainable. I don't know that my thing is always, you
I
know,
don't know because that's where I think it's going. Is that I think when DC does like Batman 1,000, right? They legitly did like 4 times around the alphabet, and everybody had to buy 3,000 of those books. So when DC every 3 or 4 years does a major event, they're raking in probably like 30 to 50 mil easy on these variants, which is sick. It's sick. And so I don't know. And like Batman 1,000 made probably 30 to 50 million for DC, hands down, easy.
you think that much. I mean that
I
would
do.
be,
I do.
but then think of what you know. I think on the whole, I just don't think that they're looking at the numbers. You know, when they do a book that sells 10,000 copies, you know they're getting destroyed. They lose a ton of money on that book. There's just no way they can make any money on it.
But but I mean, you probably
One
know
book,
my opinion on this though, right? I think DC and Marvel and slash Disney slash Warner Bros. Discovery, because those are their parent companies, are the smartest companies in the world. I I
yeah,
think I think, and people give me shit for this all the time, and you're all wrong. I'm telling everybody they're wrong because they left a failing business model, which is comics, not necessarily on a story level, but on a very difficult level, making money in comics
sure.
to go pursue video games and to go pursue movies. The latest, and just to give an idea, Microsoft bought Activision for 70 billion.
Sure.
That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
video games are a huge industry, and DC makes more money by producing Arkham Knights than they would on any Batman comic over 10 years.
yeah, no, and that's my point. I think that that's where you're making real money. So the comics are just loss leaders done in a very bad way because again, now the Deadpool and Wolverine are a bad example, but you know because it's a rated R movie. But why when a Captain America movie comes out or Spider Man isn't there $2.99 or $2 book in every 7-Eleven and Wawa and you know thing in the country, right? Like you want to get new kids into it, you want to get
I
things.
put it in there, put it in the movie theater.
Same thing. Great point. Yeah. You know, do it there. Why don't they do it? Why? Because they don't give a shit, right? Like they don't need to do it and they don't give a shit. And they're
At my AMC theater, when Star Wars came out, what did they have in the concession stand? They had Pop Funkos.
did they?
They had
I
Pop
don't
Funkos
understand
of
that.
Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
So smart, right? So
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why you're not having I mean, you could have a fucking vending machine. You could do a comic vending machine in every, you know, movie theater in the country and you know you're gonna sell they're gonna sell out, right? Like but they don't do it. And you can have it everywhere. And I don't understand it. I do. I just don't think they don't give a shit because they're making a fortune on these movies and they don't give a fuck about comics. Um, and that's what worries me about the industry because if you're not bringing in younger readers, you know, our average reader is probably over the age of 35. You know what I mean? Like that's most of them.
Why do you think comic shops had to go and bring in Pop Funkos, trading cards, and trading card games, not even sport
Yeah.
cards?
Yeah.
Trading card games like One Piece or Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. Like
Sure.
I go to a comic shop maybe once every quarter, and they have a big room that's just a gaming room, and they have
Yep.
Friday night draft night Magic the Gathering for like $20. You get
Yep.
a piece of pizza and you're drafting Magic the Gathering. Now I haven't played Magic the Gathering in forever because
Me
I'm a
neither.
31-year-old man who would prefer to have a beer on his Friday night to
Yep.
nurse a sore knee. But not the point here. You know, and I'd rather watch Chicago PD, to be honest, on my iPad than SmackDown. We know my priorities while having a beer or having half a bottle of Jack, but not the point. This is what happens when you get old, everybody. I'm sorry. But I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I mean, I'm lost out of comic shops too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's, I know. I think they'll always be there. Obviously, digital is a big thing. I don't really read digitally. Comics. I don't read a lot digitally, but I guess, hopefully we're turning some fans or younger fans to at least the digital comics, so they're into the
Read a
medium.
lot of your stuff digitally.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
Comixology subscription, and I read a
Yeah.
lot of Zenescope on Comixology because I don't know exactly the back end of that, but I read a lot of manga digitally too because I don't have space and
Sure.
it's cheap, right?
Sure.
Between me reading Shonen Jump, which gives me so much manga in Comixology, it's $8 a month.
Yeah.
It's legitly cheaper than my Starbucks coffee on Saturday.
Right. Right.
And I
Yeah.
could have
So there's that part of the
yeah.
business. Yeah. I mean, I think people are going that way. I mean, hopefully, I don't have a problem with it. I like it, but we'll see. I mean, I keep saying the
And
same
then
thing.
if I like your book, right? So, like, I have a Wonderland omnibus, right? I enjoyed reading Wonderland digitally, and I'm halfway through it digitally, right? I read Oz, the omnibus, and I want an Oz book eventually, an omnibus. If you guys do it, I don't know if there is one. Not
Yeah.
the but I've read like I think there was one digitally where it was like all the three Oz stories just put into one file.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So helpful. But like if you or I'll just buy those individually because I like Oz, but I'm not gonna go buy. I'm trying to think of something like that. Like I'm not gonna go buy Zodiac, right? It doesn't suit me. Nothing against Zodiac, but like I don't need Zodiac in my Zenescope collection.
Gotcha.
I don't I mean I like Mark Miller's. Shoot, did he do Jungle something?
Jungle Book. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's not true. I do have those books, but I bought those books for like $5 a piece. But
Yeah.
not the point here. But you get where I'm going with this. Not
Sure.
everything I need to own. I don't need to
Sure.
own everything in my life, and that applies to everything.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. I say I don't read digital, but I'm big into fantasy football, and I used to get the magazines all the time. Now I just get digital. I don't buy anything paper; it's all digital. So I guess everybody goes to that stuff.
Well, I still buy my Hustler every once in a while,
Yeah.
but there's a good reason why. I did buy that interview that Chazus did.
Oh, it was in there. I didn't know that.
He was interviewed by Hustler.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I got to get that up. We got to get that up on our site. How
It's
long?
crazy. So I have a lot of friends, for those who don't know, in the adult world, and every once in a while, one of my friends is in that magazine, either interviewing or getting featured or something else, God knows what. So I have a friend who I've known for a while, and she was just in that magazine. So obviously, I picked up that magazine because you have to support your friends.
Sure.
That's how I know about Hustler, is that it was like the first time they interviewed a pinup artist. It was kind of cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea.
It's interesting, right? So like
Yeah,
I'm like, it was a good interview. It was a pretty solid interview. So
I'll find it.
yeah. It's I mean, I still have it around, and like my parents were like, "Why'd you buy a Hustler?" And I'm like, "Well, Chazos was in there, and I like his work, and
Yeah.
it's interesting." So, and I said, "Oh, that's kind of a big deal, right? That you got one of the top, kind of indie pinup guys out there doing something who's worked for Zenescope, and like that's the thing." So again, though, but like Hustler's model is really interesting. They print very limited, and they basically said, we're not gonna. I don't think they're in Barnes and Noble anymore.
Yeah.
If you want a Hustler magazine, it's either a subscription or you just buy it for like $20.
And they release everything digitally, I guess, right?
I don't even know if they do digital.
Interesting. It's an interesting model.
Because they have their website. It's kind of like Playboy. Their website is actually much better than and it's a paywall website essentially. Parts of it are paywall, parts of it are not. But you could buy it's like maybe like $30 a year, right? But then you get every access to Playboy, and if you actually really want it, Playboy is brilliant. If you actually read the magazine, it's a fantastic magazine. Joseph Heller was in Playboy. Shel Silverstein was in Playboy. Dean Yeagle was in Playboy. You know Dean Yeagle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love Dean Yeagle.
Yeah, there's been a lot. I know they used to be, ship.
Catch 22 first appearance was in Playboy, which is wild. So again, if you want to be really intellectual and you want to find the next big thing, Playboy's where you go.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this whole crazy industry. Like I said, coming up on 20 years, you think you know where it's going, but we have no idea.
Oh, I just go with the wind and I hope for the best.
Yep.
I hope for the best. I like your trading cards. Honestly, that's the best product for me that you guys produce. For me.
Yeah, sure. No, they're cool. Like I said, they did really well in San Diego again, and now that we're into it, we've had 2 sets and a couple subsets. We're going to keep doing one every year.
No, I'm excited. But again, obviously we covered a lot of stuff. I don't think we covered nearly anything else. I know you have a virtual con coming up, in 3 days?
VCon is Thursday and Friday, which is the 7th and 8th, I think. Oh, no, tomorrow's the 7th. So it's Thursday. We're actually doing a show this weekend, a local show, Liberty Comic Con at it's in Oaks, PA. Anybody listening out there that might want to check it out. It's a small show, but it's a good one. We're gonna broadcast live from the VCon there Friday night. And then Saturday we'll be there as well on Sunday. Just really promoting the Kickstarter, continuing to work on that. It's got about 17, 18 days left right now. And that's it. And then we have our VIP event is August 24th. We're doing a CGC signing the day before, August 23rd. So CGC is flying in a bunch of artists, going to sign about 1,000 books, I guess. And we're going to open up to the public and have that. That should be pretty cool. That'll be at our new studio and at our office. And then the VIP event is down in Philly. And then just really focus on this Kickstarter right now. Hopefully we can get to the next level and make 2 or 3 of these shorts in addition. So we'll see.
No. It's good. It's good. I'm happy for you, and I got a lot of your books, and I like making money, and
Cool.
I like flipping your books. So there you go, right there for me. So it's good for me, and obviously there's all that, and obviously I think Zenescope.com is kind of where you can go. I think I have the link to Kickstarter too for those who want to check it out as I promote this out as well. And then as far as everybody else is concerned about me, I got a lot of stuff going on, everybody. So obviously I am Pop Anime Comics on what is now known as formerly Twitter, known as X, Pop Anime Comics. Go bother me there. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram. I am Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I am Pop Anime Comics on TikTok. I am Pop Anime Comics on YouTube, and I'm having a good time on YouTube, everybody. I post a lot of content, a lot of video content, and I'm engaging in a lot of stuff on my YouTube community page. So a lot of pictures, a lot of cool stuff there. Bunch of fun stuff's out there on my community page, a lot of polls, and talking a lot about the Olympics there. So
Cool.
you could vote, you could polls. You don't know what's going to come out. I got some fun stuff. I got some meme Pokemon cards all the time now coming out there. You never know who's going to be in there. So it's a good time. It's a good time. And every once in a while we get a troll in there too, which is always a good time too. So, but again, a lot of fun stuff. And let's just say the next 4 months is going to be a lot of fun stuff coming out. And you never know what's coming on my show. You never know who's going to come on my show. And I got some surprises coming in the next few months. So that's everything that I got going on there. And then on top of that, I do have an eBay store. So look for content collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. I am Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on the eBay. That is Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I sell a lot of books, everything from Zenescope to regular DC books to a bunch of other people's books, as well as I tend to sell really, really rare cards. So I sell stuff like this, which is a game used base from Rickwood, which is a game that was played by Major League Baseball in honor of the Negro Leagues. And Rickwood Fields is the oldest Negro League stadium. So I have one of these left in my store. And I do sell stuff like this, which are Angel Reese cards, which are super expensive. They sell it really quickly. And this is her rookie card. And I no longer have this card in play. And that's like $170, $180 card. So I sell a lot of stuff like that. And so you name it, I sell it. And then people are telling me with these cards that they just can't see it. So they're telling me they can't see him. It's very upsetting. And then I don't know why they can't see him. And then I say, I can't see it either. But in 2026, nobody's going to be able to see it either. Because it's a farewell tour. So there you go, everybody. But yeah, no, seriously, all jokes aside, if you're looking for something on eBay and comics or cards, either I have it, you could ask me, and if I don't have it, chances are I do know somebody who does. And I'm more than happy to point you in the right direction. So that's everything I got going on, and I'm going to give you the final word.
Thanks a lot for having me on again, Andrew. Always a great time. Anybody out there looking for some new entertainment, little horror that's, like just to entertain you, check out this Kickstarter. I think it's going to lead to some big things. So like I said, it's already funded. We've already hit the goal. So if you back it, you will be getting something, whether it's 1 episode, 2 episodes, or 3, we don't know, but it might be a whole movie if things break the right way. But again, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And you can check out our stuff on Zenescope.com, like Andrew said.
I don't think I could have said any better myself. That is a wrap.